Hey there, I'm Kat and this is Brews and Reviews. So today's video is the start of a vlog. Well, kind of a vlog, kind of a wrap-up. So this video is inspired by Victoria from What Victoria Read, and the way that she does her wrap-ups, I think they're really creative. I thought, given that in December I tend to read a lot of Christmas books, and last year I ended up reading so many that I had to split my wrap-up into two Christmas books and normal books, I thought I'd kind of do like a vlog wrap-up of the Christmas books that I've been reading. I wanted to do this vlog style wrap-up because I just thought it'd be an interesting thing to try out, and I always like watching Victoria's videos when she does them because she gets to include like little bits of B-roll from her life, and I've got some stuff going on this month, so I thought I'd take you along with me. But yeah, let's kick off this video talking about the first book that I read this month, and that's Make You Mine This Christmas by Lizzie Huxley Jones. So I had originally heard Charlotte from Books and Bargains talking about this book last year, and I knew that I wanted to read it this year. So I picked this up as a buddy read with Kayla from Crack Into a Good Book, and basically we just really enjoyed it. It's so fun. I cannot recommend this book enough. I feel like it's exactly the kind of book to pick up if you're interested in like British Christmas chaos. So this book is about a woman who's going to be alone at Christmas, and she goes to a Christmas party, ends up kissing a guy under the mistletoe. His ex-girlfriend sees and is like, oh my god, your new girlfriend! Long story short, she ends up pretending to be his fake girlfriend over Christmas and ends up at his family's house. The only problem is she has to not fall in love with his sister, who she's very attracted to. So this book is so fun. It has so much chaos in it, and it like so many things that like would never happen, but at the same time it's just really fun to read about. The banter is really funny. I really enjoyed how the characters spoke to each other. There's a lot of different representation in there. The main character is fat. There's bi and queer people, non-binary characters. There's also chronic illness and disability representation, and it's just perfect. Can't recommend this book enough. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I just really enjoyed it, and it gave me Christmassy feelings and made me happy. So I just really love this one, and now I'm gonna go read some more stuff, so I will check in with you later. Let's just ignore the fact that I'm orange right now. The light in this room is terrible. I'm gonna replace it soon, but I wanted to sit by my Christmas tree because it's pretty. Also, look at my wallpaper. Tree. So I'm actually really tired and it's late at the moment. It's like 1 o'clock and I really should be sleeping because I'm going to the airport tomorrow morning and I have to be up by like 5:30, which is in about 4 hours, but I don't sleep anyway, so. So I read 2 books yesterday and 1 book today, and I can't remember if I talked about Once Upon a Christmas Carol, but if I did, then you've already heard me talk about it, and if I didn't, then you'll hear me talk about it now. Hi, Coops. Hello. Been joined. No, come join me. He doesn't want to be here, but he is. He's here. He's lovely. Oh yeah, I'll put you down. You hate me. Oh right, okay, he's going underneath where I put my camera. So Once Upon a Christmas Carol is about a woman who is a singer. She's just sort of been dropped by her label, and she receives this mysterious Christmas card that says like, oh, come back to the town where you grew up and you'll receive a surprise. So she goes back, and then she ends up sort of trying to get into the Christmas spirit. She meets her first love and his daughter, and she sort of helps her out and it engages in town festivities, and it was fine. It was cute but predictable, very much Hallmark movie kind of thing, not anything special. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Then I picked up Let It Snow, and I enjoyed this one much more. It's a romance between 2 people who are stuck in an airport on Christmas Eve because of a snowstorm and they can't get out. So they sort of get talking and find that they have things in common and things they don't have in common, and then they sort of throw an impromptu Christmas Day Santa is here thing for the kids that are also stranded there, and it's really cute, and I liked both of the characters, and I'm like, well, that was nice. It's just like a nice romance. I don't know how to describe it. It made me smile a lot, and it made me feel festive even though they were like stuck in an airport. But oh my gosh, I'm going to the airport tomorrow. I better not get stuck in the airport. No thank you. Anyway, I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars and I enjoyed it. Then this morning I was doing some sprints with Abby from Abby Lucy the Book Lover, and we were just sort of doing magical readathon sprints, and it was really fun. I read a book called Rough and Crumble, and I thought this was going to be a romance book. I obviously didn't read the cover close enough. I just looked at it and I was like, this is some sort of bakery at Christmas time because there was like a Christmas wreath on the door. No, it was about murder. It was a cozy mystery, and I just missed that completely, so that's on me. But also, it was kind of just boring. It was fine, I guess. It really didn't feel very Christmassy, and I think if you moved that book to any other time of the year, then it would just be exactly the same. So I didn't love that, given the fact that I only picked it up because it was a Christmas book. Like, it didn't really hit what I wanted it to hit. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was fine. It was very short. I didn't really have time to do anything else, but it was just like a cozy mystery, and it was just random. And on to the last Christmas book I read today. It was called Mistletoe Murder, and I knew this one was about murder, and I knew it was Christmassy, and I didn't like it. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I really think I may be quite picky about cozy mysteries because there was something about this one that just really annoyed me. So this book is set in Texas, and I don't know if it's part of a series, and this is like midway through the series. I kind of feel like it is, but the main character is a retired investigative journalist who has moved to a farm to get away from her busy life, and now she just runs a farm, and she's dating a vet, and her life is very normal, and she's like a mid-40s lady, I guessed. And the police sheriff is just utterly useless and does not do his job at all. So somebody gets murdered, and he's just like, must have been his wife, and then he's just not in the book, like, at all. Like, nobody even talks to him. Like, the mayor comes to this random woman, the investigative journalist lady, and she's like, do you think you could find out who killed him, because maybe it's not his wife. It was so dumb. It actually like infuriated me how this town works, the structure of the town. I don't know, because it was like everybody was trusting other people more than the sheriff, and it's like, in what world has this sheriff still got a job? Because he's not sheriffing. At one point, he shot himself in the foot. He's not even a character in the book. He says no words in the entire book. And yet, he is the most annoying thing from the book. So anyway, yeah, I'm just ranting about this now. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars because I really didn't enjoy it. I don't know. I think this book was more bothered about like the people in the relationship, like the main character and the vet boyfriend. They were like, oh, we can't go too fast. We don't have to stay at each other's houses. You're like 40. You could grow up. We can't move too fast. We can't sleep over. What? What is this nonsense? That's the end of my reading that I've done so far. I'm downloading some more audiobooks and some ebooks that I can take away with me to Barcelona, and I will bring you guys with me on this trip. So as you might have seen, I've just been in Barcelona because my mum and I decided to take a spontaneous trip that was mainly based on girl math of having a refund for hotels.com and then just going, should we go away? So we did. So that was a really interesting holiday, though I think more based for people who love architecture and art than me and my mum. Me and my mum are kind of more history-based people, and we love learning about the history of a place. We went to the History of Barcelona Museum, and it kind of felt like they only wanted to talk about the architecture and the art, and they just sort of skipped over anything political or social, because there's a lot of stuff going on in Barcelona, and they kind of like Bella New Moon September through to January or whatever, you know the chapters where it's just like, there's a possibility. Well, there's a possibility that the people in Barcelona don't want to talk about their history. Also, I know I'm a terrible singer, but we'll just get on with it, because Christmas. So anyway, I did read some books while I was out there, mostly audiobooks, and I just kind of want to talk to you about what I read and how I felt about them. So the first book I want to talk about is Cupcakes for Christmas, which was a book that I thought was going to be about, like, cute romance in a small town. And, I mean, it kind of was, but also kind of wasn't. Like, I came there for the romance, but what I actually got was dementia and depression, so that's very festive, isn't it? Honestly, I don't really know how I feel about this book. Like, the romance aspect of it was fine. I don't know. Sometimes I have problems with these Christmas books because it's a little bit like people meet each other and then within 6 days they're like, I love you. Is it too early to tell you? Yes, it's too early. It's too early even by romance book standards. Like, calm down a bit, please. Also, I don't love reading about dementia because I find it really just terrifying. And the way that that sort of comes out in this book is, it's not nice to read about, so it did really affect my enjoyment. The romance aspect was fine. It was 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'll probably have forgotten about this book by this time next year. The next book I read, I do actually own as a physical book, but I've just like left it somewhere and now we're filming, so I'm not gonna go get it. It was The Christmas Appeal by Janice Hallett, and I actually really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It's a novella that follows the amateur dramatics club that were involved in The Appeal, which is first book. This is like a 1.5. As soon as I started reading it, I was like, oh yeah, these people. And that's how they act. Now I remember. Because I was struggling to remember who some of the characters were and what their relationships were in the first one. But they very quickly let you know who they are, and it's like, oh yeah, you. There were some really funny bits in it, and there was, you know, an interesting mystery. I didn't really get all of the things, and I kind of think it was impossible to really guess one of the things. But it was still fun. I really enjoyed the format and just like the constant guessing game that you play while you're reading this type of book. And the last book that I read while I was on holiday was Gulf Coast Christmas. And I have to say that my enjoyment of this book is probably tempered by the fact that it's actually book 8 of an 8-book series. I didn't realise that at the time, but like, I feel like this would be a much more impactful book had I read the rest of the series and actually cared about all of these people. Like, there's a lot of references back to the main character's aunt who died, and they're like, oh, we're gonna do the Christmas party in the inn that she used to own that we've now taken over, and we're gonna like put her wedding dress on display. And I'm like, why would you do that? That's so weird. Why would you put someone's wedding dress on display in your Christmas party? This is very strange behaviour. But then I feel like in previous books maybe the aunt was still alive and it would be like a nice homage, and I'm like, maybe I'm just being judgy for like no reason because I don't understand, and that's definitely on me. It was a nice book, and the characters had nice relationships, and it was Christmas niceness. That's about it, really. That's all I've got to say about this book. It was fine. It was Christmas on the beach, so that was something. And yeah, it was alright. 3.5 out of 5 stars. So I'm just sat here wrapping presents because that's what you do, right? But I am bad at wrapping presents, and I have just a talent for picking the most awkward way to wrap a present in the world. Case in point, right? That's funny when you know what the gift is, right? Why did I? What's happening there? What's happening? No. Yeah, anyway, so I'm watching the oh, look at this giant mess of what happens when you wrap presents. I'm watching the ITV2 Pantos from like 2000. This one, Cinderella, I'm watching at the moment. I just really like these. It's kind of like a tradition for me at Christmas to rewatch these Pantos. They're just very, very silly and have a lot of like British comedians in them, and I'm just really enjoying watching them again. So it's good to have on in the background while I'm wrapping presents. And honestly, like, seriously, what am I doing with this present? What am I I done? What have I done? Why have I done this? Why? Did it. I wrapped all the presents. I don't have to wrap any more presents. And you know why that's impressive is because, one, I wrapped that really, like, annoyingly shaped thing, which is just there. You have to ignore the mess. It's just, everything's messy. But also this thing, which is the menace of my life. Because if I lay it lengthwise, it's basically up to here on me. So me trying to wrap that, it's also really heavy, on my own was a task and a half, and now I need to lay down and maybe a drink, because wow. So since the last time we spoke, I've read another book. It was Together With You by Leah Dobrinska, and this one was another free Audible one. It's about a woman who loses an election, and she's like, oh, I'll go back to my hometown and lick my wounds and be sad about it. And her friend says, well, if you do all this stuff on this Christmas list, then I'll give you a contact for, like, a senator that I know so you can get back into it. And she's like, okay, cool, I'll like do Christmas caroling and make Christmas cookies and stuff like that at home, fine, whatever. And then she goes home and it doesn't really work out that way because Christmas shenanigans. Her brother has twin babies that are born prematurely and her parents have to go off, so she has to look after the Christmas farm with her brother's best friend and some guy that she used to not really like, but she ends up kind of liking him. And yeah, it's just kind of the whole story, really, isn't it? You know what? It was kind of cute and they fell for each other really fast, which is not something I really like, but, you know, it felt believable enough in this scenario. The only thing that I didn't really love is that she basically gave up her entire dreams just to, like, move home. She was like, oh, I don't want to be a senator anymore. I don't want to have any of those things. Because, like, kind of feels like maybe you never really cared in the first place. Why were you even doing that? I mean, who picks that job to do on a whim? Like, nobody, surely. It's not fun. So anyway, yeah, that book, I read that. It was 3.5 out of 5 stars. I've finished 2 more books, so we're here to talk about it. They're kind of the same book. They were in the same audiobook, but one of them's a novella that happens after the first book, so I'm counting them as 2 books, even though I read them on the same one. So I don't know if that counts, but it does count to me. So the books that I read were Sleigh Spells and A Humbug Holiday by Bella Falls. And this one's kind of like random to explain because it's a little bit different from the traditional contemporary Christmas romance or murder that has been happening. Essentially, it's like people who have committed magical crimes, unlike magical creatures, get sent to the North Pole to serve out their sentence on, like, kind of North Pole parole. So the main character got done for some thieving stuff and she's a witch and she's like, I don't really trust my powers, whatever, and she kind of hates Christmas and she's like, ugh. And then there's a whole thing where Santa's sleigh gets stolen and Mrs. Claus is like, hang on a sec, I think that you can find it. I think you can use your talents. And there's a bunch of other, like, people who are there that are not all parolees, they just end up being there, that don't love Christmas either, and they're called, like, the Humbugs, and they launch this investigation to try and figure it out. It was kind of cute, and it was very different from the other stuff that I've been reading, so I liked it. And A Humbug Holiday takes place after the end of the book, and it's basically just Christmas after that, because in Sleigh Spells you don't actually get the actual holiday, and this one is just, like, ties off all of the loose ends, so I thought it was really nice to have them as a combination. I gave them both 3.5 out of 5 stars because they were fine, but, like, nothing special, but also it was nice to have something a bit different and, like, a bit of witchiness, and there was, like, bear shifters and elves and stuff like that as well, and there was, like, a squirrel that talked and stole nuts, which was a bit random, but, like, it was fun. Happy Christmas Eve, everyone, which is hopefully when you're seeing this, but probably not. So, you know, if this is late, it's late. Oopsie daisies! I'm really bad at editing on time. So I've read 2 more books, and I'm going to wrap this video up with these 2 books because I probably won't read any more Christmas books because it's literally Christmas tomorrow, and I don't have the time, so let's talk about what I read. So I did a buddy read with Emily from Novelle Novels, and it was of It Always Snows on Mistletoe Square by Ali McNamara. So this book was about a woman who finds out that her husband was cheating on her with a man, and she worked in a place where all of his friends worked and where he worked. So she basically had to leave her job, leave her home because it was his home, and she doesn't speak to her parents, so she's feeling really hopeless around the holidays. And she sat on this riverbank and meets this man who's like, you know, it's not all that bad. And then he puts his newspaper down and, like, walks away. And she sees this job advertisement for, like, a writer to record a family history, and it's, like, a live-in position, and it's basically perfect for her. So she's like, I don't know. And then, like, 3 friends phone her, and they're all like, maybe you should try this out. I've just seen this. It would be perfect for you. So she's like, okay, I get the hint, fate and all that. So she goes to this house and meets these 2 women who live in the house, and they tell her stories about the family in the Christmas past, but there's a lot more going on. It's very Christmas mischief, and like, you just sort of have to go with it because you're like, okay, there's definitely some stuff going on that these people aren't telling the main characters, but like, I'll go with it, we'll see where it goes. And the end was so worth it. It just wrapped it up really nicely and in just like such a Christmas kind of way. I don't know, it was just nice because you ended up experiencing all of these different Christmases from like the different years gone by, and it was nice to see so many things impacting the end of the book. And I don't want to say any more because I don't want to spoil it, and I feel like it's nice to just sort of go with the fact that it's fate and like see where it takes you and just enjoy it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm really glad that I read this one. I definitely need to read more by Ally McNamara. And then the last Christmas book that I read, admittedly I only picked up because it began with an X, because I was trying to finish off my A to Z challenge, and I did, and I'm very happy about that, satisfied as you can imagine. And yeah, so this one's called Xmas Stockings, and I just picked it up because I thought it'll be a very quick sort of smutty romance read. And it was, but it was actually much better than I expected it to be. I usually have really bad luck when I just pick something up because of the name, because I'm trying to achieve a specific challenge, but this one was actually really good. It was very smutty, it was very Christmassy. Essentially there's like magical creature people and they're like scions of specific spirits, so the guy in it is like a scion for Saint Nick, so he's basically Santa. He works in like a logistics delivery company, he's a billionaire, and the woman in it is she's hired to be his secretary, but like secretary really, because come on, it's a romance book, so that's where we're going with this. Yeah, so there was a lot of really well written, good smart. There was a lot about consent in it, and I just liked it. So yeah, I didn't expect to be sat here saying Christmas Santa related smut book was good, but I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, so here we are. And that kind of concludes this strange type of vlog thing. So these are the Christmas books I read in December 2023, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Don't knock over the Christmas tree. Stay.